Okay, welcome back. I'm Oren Klaff, but that does not matter. What matters here is that Sam Falsafi is here. Sam is incredible. We just did something in a social environment that was mind-blowing. I got to set it up so you can understand, but everything is about social status in the business environment. If you haven't in your mind or your experience on paper or in your planning combined how you do business with how you approach social status, then you haven't maximized your ability to do deals at all. So here's the setup. So we had an event here, about 120 fund managers coming in for the day. And what we wanted to do is give them some content, which was great, and then have them come into our deal. And so I did some content in the morning, which was very good. Did Game of Money, did Vortex, some very helpful information, and then we had lunch. And then what we did is lunch was served. Everybody was treated very, what I would say, subserviently. So we cleaned up after them. We asked them if they wanted more coffee. The servers cleaned off their table, took out the garbage, showed them where everything is, asked them what they wanted in their coffee. What were some of the things the servers did? Don't give the reveal yet.
No, I understand that. No, they've placed the tags. They've placed them on their tables and chairs and conducted the pat of the multiple areas within the building, and as well as the car show that we had yesterday. So there was a lot of service involved, right? Both to serve food, eat and drink, and provide information.
Very high touch service.
Very high touch.
And in addition, very personal. In addition, the servers and the cleaning staff were asking, like, where are you from?
Yeah, like a butler style.
Butler. Yeah.
You got 120 guys. You got about 10 guys here that were managing 10 guys in a very personal way to serve them.
Butlers. So I'm up on stage after lunch and I show the deal. And then I say, before I ask who wants to invest in the deal, I'd like you to stand up. And so Sam and his crew stand up. We bring them on stage. And I said, I replaced this is a little something different here. I replaced the normal staff with a different staff. These men that you see here up on stage have been cleaning up after you, taking out the garbage, asking if you need coffee, helping you sit, helping you get seconds, and doing everything that you needed all morning. But these aren't the regular wait staff. These are the first investors in the deal. And they've been talking to you, and they've been assessing you, and they've been deciding who they want to allow into the deal going forward. Mind blown. People are like, what in the hell is happening here? The servers are actually the investors, and everything changed. I had to run this, but you were in the middle of it. What was the experience like for you?
I think the experience was, number one, it was very good for us to connect at a more in-depth level with the attendees, right? Normally you come in, you have the hellos and the how are yous, and then the focus is on the content, and you get disconnected from the people that are in the audience until an opportunity is provided for lunch or some level of conversation. We were in at 8-9 hours, 2 days in a row. And that allow us to understand personally and know personally each person's involvement, engagement, interest. The second part of this was also the ability to simply help them out, right? Before and after were all the questions that they had, but we noticed that the questions were very little after, because it's almost like this a level of trust has already been established naturally.
And how was the shock value?
It was pretty cool, but it wasn't really shocking to us because this is what we do. We wanted
but for them. What was it?
They're like, wow, man. A couple of feedback like, this is just amazing. Who came up with this idea? Was a couple of times, obviously Oren. And how did you guys pull it up? It's just pretty naturally. But they were a bunch of them said, who came up with this idea? I can recall that.
So many years ago, something similar like this happened to me by accident. The head of an event, they needed an extra person, so he was serving, and he ended up serving me some salad. And he was like, hey, sir, would you like some more salad? He was just helping out at his event. And I'm like, no, I was talking to someone. I didn't want to be rude to a server, but I was in the middle of telling my best part of the story. And I'm like, no, man, I'm good. He's like, are you sure you want? I'm like, no, I got this, right? No, I don't want any more salad. I'm good, right? And not very grateful. But I was in the middle of part of telling my story, right? So no salad. And then about 15 minutes later, they had people coming up and like, hey, now we'd like to introduce the sponsor and funder and the head of the event, somebody I needed to talk to. And I was like, oh my God, that was my server who I was rude to. I remember that. And I remember I'll do anything to get back my status of being a kind. Number one thing is you see how people treat servers or coffee people, and that tells you about their integrity and their just graciousness as a person.
Yeah.
When they're unnecessarily rude to somebody below them who makes less money, maybe has difficulty making the bills meet, why in the world would you be anything but gracious to that person?
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh my God, I'm exactly the opposite.
Yeah.
I behaved exactly the opposite of who I think I am, and I got caught dead flat-footed. So I worked the rest of the time. I would buy anything, do anything, stand on my hands and light my feet on fire, do anything to gain my social status back from being worm shit. And so I had that experience, so I wanted people to have that same experience here. And I think, yeah, people were quite shocked and titillated by it. So that was really cool. But I think for you guys, there has to be some overlay of status pressure and social pressure inside of a sale. The best deals we have are when a group of 3 people come in to invest together, because one of them will always put their capital in on time, right? And then you have all the social control, which is Susan got her money in. Are you guys stranding her? Everybody's done the paperwork. Everybody's committed. Are you guys stranding Susan in the deal? Is that who you are? And they will always come in. Or you just say, this is out of compliance. Susan's in compliance. You're out of compliance.
Yeah.
Right? And if you are working with someone in an air bubble where it's you and them, and there's no social forces on them, you have put yourself in nightmare mode. If this is a video game, you're playing it at the hardest level possible. You're like, I just want to play level 100 where everything's a dragon. Every dragon is a level 10 fire dragon, and with 1 health and no weapons. Like the social aspect of deal making is a gale force wind pushing people into the deal. And when you're in an air bubble where you're just trying to provide features, benefits, and value, it becomes incredibly difficult. I'll turn it over to you in a second, but the way I think about it is referrals. Everybody wants a referral, right? Why? So what's your sense of the value, Sam, of referrals?
So just preliminary to that, and this idea of the social pressure, right, on the deal, it always divides in 2 units. You got those that are united by the value of the deal, and you guys, those that are united by the excuses, or what I call unity by dissatisfaction. Some reason, right? And you want to know that right out of the gate. You don't want to drag somebody with excuses and dissatisfaction in the pitch all the way to the closure for them to reveal that dissatisfied. If they're going to reveal themselves in unity and dissatisfaction, might as well do that then. But those that are in unity and value now move forward, and you get this thing called momentum. And momentum is this thing that ties into referral. If I'm excited about something, if I'm invested in something, if I am in union about something, then I'm going to be talking about it naturally more. And so the more naturally I'm talking about it, the more natural referrals are being placed. I see a lot of programs out there that it looks like forced referrals, right? I've never been a big advocate of those. Never been a big advocate of impersonal referrals. I see that a lot in marketing. They call it affiliations, and it's just there's a disconnect in terms of the actual energy of the personal referral.
I see a lot of in consulting packages. You'll see, hey, we'll give you a discount for 3 referrals.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And a referral to me has someone's personal ink on it, personal signature on it. You call me and they say, hey, you got to get this thing, right? You refer me to a thing. I'm listening to you more than I'm having curiosity about the thing, because I know why you're referring it, right? You refer it because you want my best interest. So I think the referral has to have value in union, and value in union needs to have necessarily some kind of relationship in place.
I agree. For me, I think the referral comes as it comes with a social affiliation, and it comes with somebody's name on it, which is nice, but you're still in the air bubble with that person. It's like top of funnel, they got in, but that referral tends to be, it still has some social weight, and then it's just you and that other person. You've got to get inside your deals a whole stack of junior people, peers, senior people, and be able to have this referential status in which your prospect is spending their time, you're giving them a status position, and they're spending the time protecting their status. That's what we do with most of our mental energy, most of our time protecting our status. I don't think we have too much time in here, but it's as simple as if you're typically own a BMW, a Lexus, or a Mercedes, and this happened to us actually, and then you go down to a Toyota, you literally feel weird about parking that Toyota in your driveway.
Yep.
And people can say, I don't know that, I don't play that game, those games don't affect me. No, that is not true. So what happened is we had this Range Rover, which we loved very much, and we had it for 8 years and just put 1 million miles on it. But in that time, Asher grew up and started having a lot more hockey gear. So he went from being 3 years old to 7 years old. And him and his hockey buddies just cleaned the inside off of a Range Rover. So you can't have a nice European car with those guys. So we got the 4Runner. And literally people are like, what happened?
Yeah.
So cars are a good example of that. And we're like, oh yeah. And then I have now 16 cars, 30 motorcycles. Like, you're not going to out-car me. And I'm explaining to people why I have a Toyota 4Runner now. And it's the shift. It's not having a Toyota 4Runner. It's the shift from the visibility of driving around in this car and then moving to a lower perception car. And that happens to everybody, whether it's a school, whether it's a neighborhood, whether it's a job, whether it's a position, whether it's a winning an account. Social status is everything, and people are spending all their time defending their social status. So when you get somebody into a deal, you want to assign them a social status, right? And then you want to lower it a bit. And the way that they can win their social status back is by doing the deal.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
That was a lot. I think we need practical examples, although our job here is to expose these issues to you, not go through case studies and use cases. If you come to Pitch Anything Live, which we're doing, and Sam will tell you a little bit about, you will see how we set up clients. By the way, fairly, honestly, transparently, with integrity. None of this is done with any kind of trickery, sleight of hand, and it's not intended to be malicious.
At all.
Not at all. And I will typically describe to people when their social status is lowering, I go, that doesn't feel very good, does it? Mm-hmm. But I go, you did this, not me.
Correct.
So perfect example. So if you want a practical example, people will come in as an investor, right? And they'll say, yeah, I can put up to $2 million
Yep.
in the deal. So I talk to them, and what they really mean is that if they got in every partner they've ever had and all those partners put in their maximum amount, they could form a group for which they have no security, for which they have no license, for which they haven't talked to anybody yet, and everything went perfectly in 90 days, could maybe do $2 million. And so as I unpack that, I'm like, Dave, listen, you can't go around and say that you can do $2 million. I'm not even sure if it's legal, but for sure, it's not right. Because you are using this air cover of I'm an investor. Let me tell you what you got sucked into. And the whole time, I'm like, this doesn't feel good. It's not intended to make you feel bad, but I don't want you to get in the same trouble that you're in here.
Correct.
With me. Because what you don't want to do is confuse me about who you are. And I'm confused. So what's happening is, we talked about this before, if I say I'm a fireman, then I gotta go, what department, what job we did this before, what department are you in, what job do you do in the fireman, how long have you been, do you have a first responder thing, who do you work with, what uniform, what kind of equipment do you use? You can't there's breadcrumbs around that position. People just are not gonna randomly say I'm a fireman if they're not like an actual fireman. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But they do say, hey, I'm an investor.
Yep.
Right, or I have a fund, and everything like that. And so but I know what that means, and I can get underneath it and I unpack it. Like, man, you can't go around saying you have a fund, right? Yeah, you have a fund maybe in documentation, but it's a call fund. You don't actually have money. I actually understand this stuff, and let me help you. Let's level set you to what you can really do. And so once I do that, they want to come back, in my eyes, as being a credible, high-quality business person and investor. Mm-hmm. And then they'll do the things that I need them to do in order to gain that status back. That's one of 100 examples of how you can, in a friendly way, in a kind way, in a transparent way, become a high integrity and expose someone's aggrandizing of themselves,
Yep.
reposition their status by their own words to where it actually is, and then allowing them to come back up through the product, through the service, through the deal you have. You are actually giving them the gift of recovering their name. They've thrown their name away in front of you, and you're giving them the gift of recovering the value of their name, which is all we have in our society, through the integrity of your deal.
1,000%. I've done this multiple times in the oil and gas days, and I'm not saying that I was a pro at it. I'm not saying all of these situations went well. There was some times where maybe I used a little bit of harsher words, and sometimes what I didn't. But I put it as a practice in place, especially in Chevron and Shell and Exxon and the bigger organization. And even in oil and gas, you're ultimately dealing a majority of time with bigger organizations, large numbers. And sitting across the table, there was always this status of the same thing, right? Pretending to be the one that's going to invest, which is not the person. The person doesn't even have the budget. They have to go around, and it's an 18-month process to get the buy-in from multiple departments and come back and say, yes, the company can purchase this product or services, but they will hold the status as if they were the decision maker to get all the attention, all the whatever is required. So I would often just break it down simply saying, hey, as we understand it, here's how Chevron operates. Here's how this position that you're filling now, here's what your authority enables us to move forward. So we want to partner with that level of authority, and we want to move forward. We want to level with, I remember my specific ask was always, we want to partner with this level of authority, and I was able to paint the level of authority. Because in the past, what we've done is that we placed all the authority in that person, and we never got anything. All we got is just running after a person, chasing one person, thinking that we're developing a relationship with the person, and it's always been wrong. It's the $2 million story. So it's not like how much you would invest, is how much you can invest. And is it going to be you personally, other people involved? A series of direct questions that really positions the authority, and then really the pitch of we're humbly here to partner with your level of authority. And every time we've done that, we were able to navigate the deals across the multiple decision maker, across the different channels where they had to provide the investment more successfully, rather than just going one person status. Because you know what? But a year or 6 months, year later, that person wasn't even there. It would be another person. And I've learned that by a person that was sitting in that chair, because we would come across people that would say, hey, let me tell you how it functions at Chevron and what my role is. And they will create the landscape for us. They will tell us how it functions here and what their role is. They were humble enough to demonstrate their level of authority, which got us excited and knew exactly where we were going. What you were saying about this guy, once he's able to understand what his position is, you know exactly how you can help him and how you can count on him.
Yes. So just to follow up, when somebody is lowering their own social status around other people, either that they just met or the people that they know, and there's other people, whether it's on a Zoom or an email or most importantly in person, now you have the true force of society that has been baked in the cake for 70,000, 90,000, 100,000 years since we dropped out of the trees in the African savanna and became tribes, became communities, became villages, and that's how we function in these strong social structures. That's what we relied on for survival. So when you're taking away somebody's social status, you're not taking away, they took it away.
Yeah.
What you're doing is revealing to them that we know that they have lowered their social status in everybody's eyes.
Yeah.
And so we're opening that window. They feel ostracized. So when you don't have the strength of the social group acceptance, then you're living outside the village, right? You have to find food on your own. You have to defend yourself at night when you're sleeping. You have to carry all the water and wood. It's the safety of the village is where everybody wants to be.
Yeah.
If you make someone feel like they are outside the village, outside the community, outside the group, they feel like they're dying.
Yeah.
And they will do anything to get back into the village and the community. On that note, we'll do a lot of this. So if this sounds like hocus pocus, if this sounds like manipulation, if this sounds like witchcraft, it is. No, just kidding. It is not, right? Exposing to someone who they are is not any of those things, right? It is you can only do this from a position of high integrity. You can only do this from the position of the village elder. And look, in one village, you may be the village elder inside your company or inside your industry or inside your sale or inside this construct. You may be the mayor, the chieftain, the head of the society. Oftentimes, like, I'm in a position where everybody knows me. They would do any kind of favor for me, but I go into somebody else's group and nobody knows me, and I'm in the fringes of that village at risk of being left on the outside. So from village to village, social group to social group, of course it changes, not saying anything new, but within the social group, you can only use these factors if you have integrity, if you yourself can't be exposed. If you expose somebody and then they expose you back in the same way, nothing's been accomplished. But if you're the mayor of that group, you have integrity, you have relationships, you have trust, you have track record, you have the highest value moral center position, then, only then, can you expose somebody's weaknesses in terms of the social group. And then they want to get back from the edge of the village to the center of the village and be accepted. How to do this, Sam? When and where could
Pitch Anything Live is something we're putting together here. It's going to be, I believe, in the third week of July. It's over 2 days. It's a workshop. It's by invitation only, where these multiple frames are going to be put into practice with different people from different industries pitching, right? The name of the event is Pitch Anything. Doesn't matter what you're pitching. It really doesn't matter if you're pitching a $50 million product or a $500,000 product or a $30,000 pitch. It doesn't matter. The mechanics and the structure and the frames and the frameworks and the instructions are all going to be the same over and over. What changes is how you think inside of each deal, and how you think today versus how you think 90 days from now is different, but the structure doesn't change. So we're putting that together. We'll be announcing it here in about 2 weeks, and we'll look forward to having everyone with us.
And how's that? It's a 900 number. You call in and you pay by the minute?
Yeah. It's going to be probably a direct text, and it's going to be, do you know Oren or Sam? Yes or no? That's the first question. Yeah, we're going to be announcing it here. There's going to be a funnel, and we're going to have it's probably going to be pitchanythinglive.com. So we're working on that. So we'll have all that by next week.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week.